So hey anime fans. The series name is What If Naruto Got Harem with My Hero Academia. So let's start the series. Being the kid of a hero, particularly the well-known All Might, attracted a lot of attention from the media, All Might's supporters, and occasionally his adversaries. Therefore, it was not surprising that Midoriya grew up in the spotlight. He would often accompany his father, All Might, when he went on live television to do interviews. Naruto, who formerly aspired to be a hero purely for the sake of helping others, became a hero for the sake of fame, glory, and wealth as a result of all the attention. In any case, Naruto was now 15 years old, and his father All Might intended to offer him the most typical upbringing possible. For this reason, the blonde attended public schools starting in elementary school rather than private or homeschooling. The blonde was constantly shielded from any villain attacks by underground heroes with stealth skills, allowing Naruto to experience the most typical upbringing conceivable. At the moment, Naruto and his close buddy Midoriya were making their way to school after seeing the hero Kamui Woods nearly defeat a villain. However, he was cut off by a hero named Empty Lady, who stole the show by making her appearance and defeating the villain instead. As they strolled side by side, Izuku fanboyed. "That was so cool, wasn't it?" Naruto nodded. "You bet it was, but if someone took my spotlight like the way Empty Lady did to Kamui Woods, then I would be so pissed off," he said. Izuku said, "Figures you would," as they kept moving. He offered Izuku a toothy grin and said, "Hee hee," laughing merrily. "I just can't wait until I get my quirk. Then all eyes will be on me, and I'll be the greatest hero ever, Dadabayo." The blonde wasn't troubled by the fact that Naruto didn't have a quirk, exactly like his friend Izuku, because she knew his father would give him his quirk. "I wonder when my old man will pass down his quirk to me. The UA entrance exam is less than a year away, shouldn't he be training me?" the blonde thought as he went by. Izuku had long given up on ever obtaining a quirk, but he still hasn't given up on his desire of becoming a hero, so all he could do was look at his pal. However, it gave him some hope to see how Naruto discussed acquiring his quirk despite the fact that it was quite uncommon to acquire one as one aged. Naruto was met by a bunch of fangirls when the quirkless pair got to school. "Naruto, please go on a date with me." "No! Go on a date with me! Gimme your autograph! I love you, Naruto!" "Hey, back off, bitch! He's mine's!" "No, he's mine, you slut!" "Hey, there's plenty of Midoriya to go around, ladies. No need to fight over the great me," the blonde said with an arrogant sneer as he put two arms around two separate women and left with them, followed by a group of fangirls. Izuku muttered as he made his way to class. "It must be great to be the son of All Might." In class later that day, "Those damn children," as he stared at the kids, the instructor in Naruto's class exclaimed. "You brats are now in your third year. It's time to start thinking about your future honestly." As he grasped a stack of papers, the teacher continued to exclaim. "These are all potential career forms, but I doubt any of you want a career. All of you want to be heroes, right?" As he smirked and tossed the career forms in the trash next to his desk, the teacher asked them. "Fucking yes!" the majority of the pupils in the class applauded. The teacher sighed and said, "You all have amazing quirks and I would let you use them in class, but it's against the rules." "Hey!" Everyone in the class turned to face the student, Katsuki Bakugo, as he laughed and said, "Don't put me in with these losers. All of them have terrible quirks, but me? My quirk is very different." With a smug grin, he said. One student snarled, "TCH, get over yourself, Katsuki." "Indeed, who the hell do you think you are?" one more shouted at him. as Katsuki yelled at his peers. Shut up, bitches, like you should just shut up and stay bitches. The teacher looked at Katsuki and said, Oh, you, Katsuki, of course, you are striving for a high school, no? The instructor questioned him. He's real? I've heard that getting into that school is challenging. Indeed, I've heard that they hardly ever accept anyone. Katsuki merely yelled, Shut up, you extras! While the students chatted among themselves. I'm the only person in this embarrassing class who deserves to be in UA High. I even aced their mock exam. I will surpass that brash, All Might, and become the world's greatest hero. With such a haughty tone in his voice. I am the only one who can outshine All Might. Naruto abruptly stood up while gazing at Kaken. Bakugo scowled at the blue-eyed blonde, saying, Naruto, you little shit! You're All Might's kid and you're just like useless Deku. You don't even have a fucking quirk. You are an embarrassment. The mere fact that you are All Might's fucking son does not give you the right to act like a hot shit. He concluded. Once I get my quirk, you'll see me kicking all sorts of ass, 'cause you ain't the only one from this school who is going to UA. Kaken said with a calm smirk, so the blonde was unfazed. The teacher interrupted Kaken before he could respond to Naruto, saying, Aren't you also going for a high school, Izuku? Izuku said, feeling his face flaming as everyone's attention was drawn to him. Ha ha ha! A few pupils in the class burst out laughing. Are you actually going to try to attend that school, Izuku? As Izuku was going to respond to his classmate, Katsuki leaped upon his desk and gave him a direct look. You need a quirk, you damn nerd! Good grades alone can't get you into the program, Katsuki said. Katsuki gave him a fierce look. It's worth a try, Izuku said shyly as the class observed. Deku, you really are looking to piss me off? Katsuki said, his eyes widening and his face seeming incredibly angry, as if Izuku had somehow made fun of him. Are you implying that you're just as good as me since you're going to try to get into the program despite having no quirk at all? The enraged Katsuki snarled at him. And no, I'm not Dash. Izuku was cut off before he could clarify. As he helped his Izuku, Naruto snarled. You fuckers act like those high school girls that like to put others down to make yourself feel better. Shut up, assholes. I can identify to Izuku since he is quirkless, and I really like him for trying to be a hero despite all the obstacles in his way. If someone dares to make fun of him, I'll kick their ass, the blonde shouted to the class as a whole. It quickly became quiet. Since the majority of the students were ardent All Might fans, many of them held Naruto in high regard as the son of All Might. Katsuki snarled and opened his mouth to say something, but the instructor cut him off, saying, That's enough, let's just get on with the class. Later on in the day. Go back. It's quite risky. Put an end to the flames. We need a different kinda hero to assist us. Amidst a throng of people, Naruto observed a slimy, blob-like substance encircling Katsuki as the red-eyed boy attempted to flee. In the first place, Naruto was there to watch his father All Might come to his rescue. If you got caught by that thing, maybe you ain't so tough, the blonde said to himself as he saw Katsuki struggle for his life. The blonde then caught a glimpse of Izuku out of the corner of his eye, and he covered his mouth with his hands in a scared manner. Izuku blurted out, It's all my fault, this is all my fault if I hadn't wasted All Might's time, as he stared in disbelief at the spectacle. What does that imply, yo? As Izuku approached him, Naruto inquired. I have Tio assist him, Izuku merely screamed, and Naruto watched in complete disbelief as he abruptly charged toward the blob object and threw his knapsack at it. Hi, kid! Are you doing what? It's very risky. Return. Izuku attempted to help Katsuki, and Naruto could see it happen. Just as the blob was ready to assault the dark-haired lad, All Might showed up to save the day, and there was smoke. "Hey! Your days of being a villain are over because I'm here to stop you!" Detroit Smash! All Might exclaimed, grinning, before shouting. Before slamming his fist into the glob, he cocked it back. That was all that was required to put an end to the current turmoil. "Izuku is where? Father, where are you?" As he left the scene covered by media, Naruto wondered himself. The blonde had lost sight of Izuku and his father because he was surrounded by reporters who questioned him non-stop. He saw his thin father standing a few feet away from Izuku just as he was about to turn the corner of a street. "What's happening? Izuku has known my elderly man for how long?" As he stared in silence, Naruto pondered. "You have the will and the will to be a hero, so yes, you can be a hero. I was mistaken earlier." All Might smiled and gestured to Izuku. Izuku had always aspired to be a hero, but everyone told him otherwise, so he knew how much those words meant to him, especially coming from his father. Naruto grinned softly as he heard this. The blonde was going to leave after deciding it would be best to leave them alone, but he froze at what he heard next. "Originally I was going to pass down my quirk to my son Naruto, but he has lost the meaning to what it means to be a hero. I tried changing his mind whenever I could, but he thinks being a hero is all about popularity, glory, fame and fortune. He was there with you at that scene, and unlike you, he didn't do anything. He has yet to be a true hero, which is why I have decided to pass down my quirk to you instead," Naruto heard his dad say. Naruto leapt forward before Izuku could respond, saying, "What the fuck is the purpose of this, Dad?" The blonde screamed angrily. All Might looked to his son and said, "And Naruto, you assured me that I will inherit your quirk." Naruto let out a shout. But you don't want to be a hero for the right reasons. Unlike this boy Izuku, in the short time I've met him, he has proven it," quietly replied All Might. "You said I would be the next symbol of peace, and you fucking promise," Naruto shouted, clenching his fists in rage. All Might warned him. "You don't have what it takes to be the next symbol of peace." Those words hit him like a ton of bricks, and the blonde screamed. "I was really looking forward to spending more time with you because we no longer spend time together, and if you don't pass your quirk on to me, I'll be completely quirkless. I'll never be able to become a hero. You were my only option, Dad. I eagerly anticipated it." "Dad, please don't do this," Naruto said, nearly sobbing as he fell on his knees on the ground. All Might turned to face the earth and said, "I'm sorry, my son. You had your chance. If this boy accepts my offer, I will shape him into the next symbol of peace." As soon as he was in front of his friend, Naruto swiftly stood up and charged at Izuku. He grabbed Izuku by the shirt and screamed, "Izuku, reject his offer as your friend, please. That quirk needs to be passed down to me, please. This is my only shot at ever being a hero. I can't let this offer pass. Sorry, Naruto, I truly am, but even if I were to reject this offer, All Might wouldn't pass it down to you. Sorry." Izuku pondered as he gazed into Naruto's beseeching eyes. Izuku replied, almost in a whisper, "Sorry, Naruto, but I can't." And Naruto immediately moved away from him, watching as Izuku nodded. "I accept your offer, All Might," Izuku resolutely stated. "Very well, I am glad you accepted," All Might said to the youngster with dark hair before turning to face Naruto and said, "Sorry, son, but this is for the best. I may be your father, but as All Might I have different duties. I must not be biased, and I must do what I believe is best. From today forth I refuse to be Naruto Yagi. From today forth I'll be Naruto Uzumaki. I'll become a hero greater than you, Fath All Might. I'll become a hero greater than you, Izuku, believe it," Naruto said, ignoring his father as he turned slowly around and began to walk away. "I hate both of you," he said as he went. After that, Naruto kept walking away, feeling deceived, But that didn't stop him since he was going to become a hero, the greatest freaking hero. A week had passed when Naruto learned that he would not be receiving his quirk, and the blonde had not left his room or attended school since. I tried to tell him way earlier that I wouldn't be passing down my quirk to him, but I just couldn't get myself to do it. Pathetic. I am All Might. Villains fear me. I can defeat villains with ease, but I just couldn't bring myself to tell him. He found out the hard way. Tashinori mumbled as he clenched. Talk to him. Do it. Talk to him. Go inside his room and talk. Tashinori recognized that, in some respects, he had failed the blonde as a parent, therefore he was unable to bring himself to enter Naruto's room and speak with his son. I may have just destroyed a friendship since I had no idea he was friends with Izuku. What kind of father doesn't know who his son's pals are? I ought to have spent more time with him. In Tashinori's opinion, his son Naruto was a good and amiable child, but he lacked the hero values necessary to become the next symbol of peace. In terms of hero decisions, he wasn't a father but rather All Might, and he wouldn't simply give his quirk to Naruto for being his son. Ultimately, though, he had to give his quirk to someone who wanted to save people without expecting anything in return. Eventually, Tashinori thought, "Sorry, Naruto," and turned to leave. Izuku appeared to be thinking deeply as he ate his lunch by himself. Is it my fault that Naruto hasn't attended school in a week? As he bit into a sandwich, the youngster with the dark hair pondered. It was due to him, and to All Might, of course. This is my one chance to ever be a hero, so I couldn't just say no to All Might. I've always wanted to be a hero, and I was quirkless Deku. I wanted to turn down the opportunity. But I couldn't. As he chewed on a sandwich, Deku kept thinking. Even yet, it feels like I betrayed you, Naruto. You are a trustworthy buddy who protected me and was essentially my only friend. You, the well-liked son of All Might, decided to hang out with a loser like me. I'm a jerk, am I not? He cast a sorrowful glance down. After a little period of inactivity, Deku resumed his thoughts. I always wondered why you were so confident that you'd be getting a quirk when it's basically impossible to even activate a quirk after you're 10 years old. It was because your dad would be passing it down to you. You knew it well. You thought he would pass it down to you, but it turns out All Might had different plans. Izuku kept thinking. Ring, ring, ring. The bell rang to announce that lunch was finished before Deku could finish thinking, so he gathered his belongings and went back to class. Shit, I can't spend all of eternity holed up in my room emoing. I've been in my room all week, I can't let this shit get to me. Naruto shouted to himself as he leaped from his bed. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I'll figure it out. Thus, even if I were to lose the All Might's quirk, I would still be a hero, one who is more powerful, well-known, and wealthy than him, Databeo. As he paced in his room, the blonde told himself. I need to get a quirk before the UA High School entrance exam, which is in about 11 months, but how? As he stopped pacing his chamber, Naruto added. The All Might was my only hope. How am I going to earn a quirk? If All Might is able to transmit his quirk, then there must be others who can do the same. However, even if they could, it's unlikely that they would transfer it to me, so that's not an option. He let out a sigh to himself. If only Mom had a quirk, then I would have possibly gotten a quirk as well, Naruto said to himself after a brief period of stillness. His father claimed that his mother, Kushina Uzumaki, didn't have a quirk, although Naruto didn't actually know her because she had supposedly passed away soon after his birth. Naruto thought, I'm pretty sure Dad has some of her items down in the basement, as he left his room and headed for the basement. Every time I asked him about Mom, he would generally attempt to divert the topic, so here is my chance to learn more about her. As he descended the stairs leading to the basement, he grinned and said, it would certainly distract him from his feelings. When he flipped on the light switch at the bottom of the basement, he discovered that there were innumerable boxes there. The blonde said, "Shit, it's like we haven't been down here in centuries," as he observed the dust and spider webs covering the brown crates. The blonde began rummaging through the boxes, discovering numerous items of clothing, shoes, and jewelry for women. He even came upon a trophy that read, "Ramen Eating Champion," then his mother's name, indicating that it must have been his mother's. He continued searching the boxes until he came across a book with a tiny lock on it. Selecting it, he read the title, Kushina's Diary. Well, did she keep a journal? The blonde was about to put it back in the box he found it in when he became intrigued. There must be a key somewhere down here as well, he remarked as he began searching through more of the boxes until he discovered a small key. This must be it. As he inserted the key into the little lock, he smiled. He succeeded in opening her diary and eagerly turned through the pages, learning a little more about his mother's preferences and dislikes as well as her feelings at the time of her first date with his father. "I failed to become a hero," was the title of one of the pages he was haphazardly turning back and forth across. What? Did Mom aspire to be a hero? Naruto began reading the page, and his eyes grew wide. "Dear Diary, I failed the UA entrance exam once more, and I failed to become a hero. If only I had a good quirk, such as core energy, what would it be? What is core energy? Why couldn't I have been born with a cool and powerful quirk? All I know is that core energy is some kind of blue energy, but I can't even use it. I have to strain myself to use it. I don't even know how to use it. I would not be able to become a hero with my core energy quirk, so I suppose it's time to move on." Naruto read a little more and was astounded by what he had just read. It seems that his mother Kushina wanted to be a hero but was unable to do so due to her quirk, core energy. It turns out that the Uzumaki clan had inherited this quirk, and no one in the family had ever been able to use or even master it. It was a mysterious quirk. "Alright, shit." The blonde sighed as he closed the diary, saying, "I guess I have a quirk and it seems to be a shitty one." And then he smiled to himself, saying, "I guess it's better than nothing," before turning to leave. He would go find out if he actually shared his mother's core energy quirk, and if so, he would try to use it to become a hero. Naruto had discovered his mother's diary and read it in its whole a few days prior in an attempt to learn more about core energy. Thus far, he was aware that core energy was a peculiarity that had been passed down through his family. His mother, his mother's mother, his mother's mother, and so on all possessed core energy, and none of them had been able to master it. It seemed that they were unsure of what to do with core energy and all that nonsense. "You'd think that they'd be able to master such a quirk, but no," Naruto said, shaking his head and gasping for air. Why was he taking a brief break? Well, ever since learning that he might possess this core energy quirk, he had been attempting to bring it out. Yes, and according to what Naruto read in his mother's diary, his family members, or at least those with core energy, had core energy coils that assisted in both producing and distributing core energy throughout the body. That was all Naruto understood about core energy. He only needed to try to determine whether he possessed it and learn how to use it. The blonde exclaimed, "Ah!" As he attempted to extract core energy from his body, nothing happened except that he appeared constipated. Oh wells. After a week with no results, the Uzumaki began to question whether he really possessed core energy because he tried everything and nothing appeared to work. A month later, the blonde clasped his hands together. He was unsure of why, but he did it because he was trying to summon core energy. He exclaimed, "H. Get out, fucker!" he cried out. As he watched a huge sphere of blue core energy circle about his body until it burst out before he saw darkness, the blonde felt a tremendous amount of power within himself. Something about it felt off, though. Well, he wasn't quirkless after all. When Naruto woke up abruptly, he discovered he was in a hospital room. He was perplexed because he couldn't recall why he got there in the first place. He sat up on the bed and asked himself, "Why am I here?" "And Naruto, you're awake, son," the blonde said, jerking his head to the side to see his father All Might, who was obviously in his heroic form. He was standing up from the chair he was sitting on, his face wearing a worried expression. As he looked aside, Naruto asked coldly, "What are you doing here?" "I know you're mad at me, but I was worried some underground hero named Jiraiya said he found you unconscious on the ground, so he brought you here. You've been out of it for 3 days. You got a really high fever and it had me really worried," All Might said him. When he heard his father say that, the blonde recalled why he had ended up in the hospital. He looked at his hands and smiled, indicating that he had developed the core energy quirk. He recalled that he had lost consciousness because he had drawn out more power than he could manage. "Yeah? Well, I am awake now, so you can leave now. I'm sure you have better things to do like train Deku," the blonde said icily, with a trace of jealousy that he couldn't hide, before turning to face All Might. Naruto. "I don't want to hear anything you have to say, just leave me alone," Naruto interrupted his father, snapping angrily. "If that's what you want," All Might said with a sigh as he left the room, shutting the door behind him. The blonde exclaimed loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Now you say, if that's what you want. You should have said that when I told you to give me your quirk." The blonde remained motionless for a few minutes until the hospital room door opened again, revealing Izuku this time. "You traitorous fuck! What the fuck are you doing here? You have some nerve showing up here after what you did, so fuck off!" Naruto screamed angrily at the sight of him. Despite his minor wince, Izuku entered the room and whispered quietly, "I wanted to see how you were doing," before shutting the door. "Oh? Don't act like you care about how I am doing, because it's obvious you don't care. Just like that day when I told you not to accept All Might's offer, you didn't seem to care about my feelings." Naruto became furious at him. Izuku licked his bottom lips prior to speaking. "What would you have done if you were in my shoes? This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to me. If I hadn't accepted it, I wouldn't be able to become a hero." He clenched his fists and let out tears. "I know it was selfish of me, I know you probably feel like I've snatched away your destiny, but I told you I will be the greatest hero. I will be just like All Might. He chose me, he sees potential in me over you, Naruto. I'm sorry, but the reality of it was that you didn't deserve All Might's quirk," he continued. At those words, Naruto yelled at Izuku. "Why, you little shit! Did you come here just to give me a speech about how you feel like you're better than me because All Might chose you over me, his son? You came here to try and justify why you threw away a friendship just for power? Well, newsflash, save your shit for someone who cares," Naruto said, leaping out of bed and glaring at Deku. Izuku was startled once more by the angry expression on his face, which was likely a reflection of Katsuki's own angry expressions. In fact, the dark-haired boy was forced to back off as Naruto approached him, expecting the blonde to try to beat him up, but Naruto paused until he was only a few feet away from Izuku. Izuku was shocked when Naruto declared, "You're not going to be the greatest hero, Izuku, because I will exceed All Might. I'll beat him in every fucking way. I'll surpass his quirk. I'll be not just the greatest hero in the country, but the greatest hero in the universe." Izuku could not help but trust the blonde since he exuded the same confidence as his father and the same can-do mentality that All Might possessed. Izuku couldn't help but think, "I don't think I stand a chance against you. So go on, take his shitty quirk and master it, because I'll eradicate you when you fully master it, Deku. That is a promise, that is a fact, that is absolute," Naruto replied with a cocky grin. The quiet fell. Izuku responded as confidently as he could. I wish we could still be friends, Naruto, but it looks like we can't, and you'll probably grow to hate me even more, because you're wrong, you'll never surpass me, I'll make sure of it. Before turning around and walking away. We will see about that, was all that Naruto answered. Izuku was shocked once more and thought he could have seen his blue eyes briefly turn blood red. As Naruto trained, or attempted to train, given his little understanding of his core energy, quirk, 10 months went by swiftly, and today was the day of the UA entrance exam. Today is the big day, huh? Naruto groaned, wiping perspiration from his brows. He had been practicing at the last minute for 10 months, trying to use his core energy, quirk, and let's just say that he was quite frustrated. He underestimated how difficult it would be to use his core energy, quirk. Following 10 months of training with his quirk, Naruto's only option was to apply blue core energy to his entire body for 15 minutes. During that time, he improved his speed, strength, and reflexes, but after 15 minutes, he essentially ran out of energy and had to wait a few hours to regain it. However, if he focused hard enough, he could have a strong wave of core energy explode out of his hand by swiping it to the side while in his coded core energy mode. He could only do this 3 times at most, and 4 if he truly wanted to, but that was pushing it. The blonde groaned as he considered it. He still had a long way to go before he could overtake All Might, but he was making progress. He would just continue training and, if possible, try to harness his core energy in other ways. He had a few ideas in mind. After taking a little break, the blonde decided to proceed to UA. Upon arriving at UA High, Naruto halted when he noticed several reporters and cameramen encircling Katsuki and bombarding him with inquiries. You're that boy that got captured by that villain a while back? Today is the day of the UA entrance exam. How are you feeling? How did it feel to get saved by All Might? Finally, with tick marks all over his face, Katsuki yelled. If you fuckers don't leave me the fuck alone, I'll fucking kill you! A tiny explosion occurred, and the media immediately fled as Katsuki carried on. When one reporter saw Naruto standing there, he exclaimed, Look, it's the son of All Might! That was all it took for the blonde to find himself encircled by the media, which was fantastic. One reporter started to say, Naruto Yagi, son of All Might dash, when Naruto cut them off. The blonde responded, Naruto Uzumaki, call me Naruto Uzumaki. I no longer go by that last name. In a tone so harsh that the reporter winced. Yeah, he was still upset as fuck. My apologies, Naruto Uzumaki, we are currently live and the entire country is watching you. Will you take a few minutes to answer a few questions? The reporter questioned the blonde. Sure, go ahead, the blonde said, smiling at the reporter as his rage swiftly subsided. First question, the son of Endeavor was recommended into UA High, meaning he doesn't have to take the UA entrance exam today. As son of All Might, why is it that your father, All Might, didn't recommend you into UA High school? The reporter responded to the first query. I don't need him to get into UA High, I'll get into the school on my own. I don't need a fucking recommendation, I'll pass the exam and become a hero all on my own. Naruto muttered icily as his eyes widened and he frowned. Haha, the reporter said with a shaky grin. Talking about Endeavor's son, Shido Todoroki, who do you think is stronger, you or him? The reporter asked. Naruto had heard of Shido previously, and he seemed to be very strong. The blonde reasoned that Endeavor's son might be able to defeat him in a fight at this time, but he nonetheless declared, I'm the best of the best. He or anybody else is no match for me. Exuding total conceit. The reporter cocked an eyebrow and remarked, Oh? In response to another query. It was said that you had no quirk, but that would be silly, since you're here for the UA exam and no one has seen your quirk, so what quirk do you have? The blonde remarked sarcastically, none of your freaking business. Quirk. The man merely chuckled uneasily and said, Haha, you aren't anything like All Might now, that's a man with class. All Might, that man, and I are two different people. I don't need to be like him. I sure as hell don't need his quirk, or a quirk like his. The blonde yelled upon hearing Naruto snarl. Since your exam is about to start, I'll be asking one last question. As son of All Might, many people are expecting great things from you. Do you believe you will be able to surpass your father? The reporter said after a period of silence and perplexity. Naruto clenched his fists and faced the camera, saying, Of course I fucking will. I'll show that man. You hear that, old man? I must surpass you and ascend my way to the top of society. I'll crush you and your little fanba, that's a promise. Believe it! The blonde concluded, and he left without saying another word. Naruto stopped as soon as he heard his father say, Nerd, as he entered the UA building where the exam would be held. The blonde turned his head to the side to see his father in his typical form. The blonde gave his father a cold look and walked on without saying anything, leaving All Might alone. As All Might watched his son leave, he whispered, Good luck, son, in a voice that was barely audible. The blonde sat calmly and gazed at the enormous screen on the stage nearby as Naruto saw himself in a large auditorium full of children his age who were all striving to be superheroes. Everyone, welcome to my live show! Everyone say he! Exclaimed President Mike, the pro-hero, as he abruptly entered the stage. The group of children remained motionless, and Naruto was the only one to cry. He! Shout out to my boy Naruto Uzumaki for keeping it real! President Mike laughed as he went on. Welcome to you, A's high school entrance exam. I know many of you are nervous and you should be, as only a select few of you will be accepted into the school. But it's time for me to explain how this exam works, he continued. President Mike said, Now listen up. We will be testing you by running a 10-minute practice run at our city district replica. There are 6 different districts where the tests will be. Each one of you got a card with a letter. After this presentation, please make your way to your given district, you dig? After pausing for a few seconds, the blonde then glanced back up at President Mike, who went on, while everyone else looked down at their cards, including Naruto, who ultimately had the card with the big B on it. As the enormous screen behind him displayed 3 distinct robots with varying point values, he declared, We will be sprinkling a large number of villains throughout the battlefields, and they will appear in 3 different varieties, with point value according to difficulty. Your goal as heroes is to basically destroy as many villains as you can and rack up a large score. Oh, and don't think about attacking any of the other heroes because that will get you automatically disqualified. When a student stood up to ask a question about a 4th type of villain, President Mike responded that it was a villain worth 0 points, and that you should basically avoid it if you can. President Mike continued to explain the rules and other things. Following the presentation, everyone got up and went to their designated area. A couple of the children taking the test approached Naruto as he waited for the exam to begin at Area B's entrance. One with a spiky red head exclaimed, You're All Might's son and we are in the same area. How amazing is that? He grinned toothily and held out his hand for Naruto to shake. My name is Izumi Kirishima, he introduced himself. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, pleasure to meet you, he said, grinning but nodding, shaking Ijiro's hand before turning to face a different child besides Kirishima. I'm Minoru Manit, the short, big-eyed child said, and then he laughed nervously. As the son of All Might, you must be really strong, right? Haha, is it okay if I stick around you during the exam? He wondered. With a direct response, Naruto said, You'll only get in my way. I plan on ranking number 1 on this exam, so you'd just be dragging me down. Which caused Minoru to groan but nod. A short, slender girl with a drowsy aspect introduced herself as Tsuyu Izumi. I look forward to working with the son of the great All Might in the future. That's if we all pass and end up in the same class, she stated straight-faced. You fucker, what do you mean you're going to rank number 1? The only who is gonna be on top is me, you got that? Katsuki said, his face threatening, as Naruto was about to say something. The blonde smiled at Katsuki and said, No, I will be the one to ace this exam. As he turned to leave, Katsuki frowned and snarled. Yeah? Well, since you and I are in the same area, you better not get in my fucking way or I'll kill you! Minoru cried out. That guy is trying to be a hero. He looks like he should be a villain instead. Before she could say or do anything else, the exam had begun. President Mike shouted via his microphone. Go! Go! You have 10 minutes to take down as many villains as you can! And the exam officially began. The blonde abruptly halted when 3 of the robotic villains appeared in front of him and charged at him. Naruto began racing across the city district replica, looking around and watching as the other students taking the test defeated the unexpectedly appearing robotic villains. The blonde clapped his hands together, closed his eyes for a while, and opened them to find blue core energy all over his body. The blonde swung his right hand sideways and exclaimed, Core energy wave! A wave of blue core energy erupted, striking the 3 robotic villains, who flew backwards and were cut in 2 as they fell to the ground. The blonde gasped for air and could only perform Core energy wave 3 times before he became tired and ran out of core energy. Before the robot could attack him, Katsuki materialized out of nowhere and punched it, causing it to burst as it fell backwards. The blonde noticed a shadow appear on the ground and glanced up to find another robot over him. Katsuki then brashly remarked, What a loser! As he sprinted by the blonde. Shit, I wasn't paying attention and I'm not gonna let this asshole think he's better than me. Naruto thought to himself as he ran after Katsuki. The blonde saw 2 villains appear in front of him, but just as Katsuki was about to attack them, Naruto yelled, Core energy wave! Once more as he swiped his hand to the side. A wave of core energy then crashed into the 2 villains, and they exploded. Katsuki was propelled backwards by a powerful gust of wind. After using his explosion quirk to prevent himself from colliding with a building, Katsuki thought, This son of a bitch! What the fuck was that? How dare he get in my way? He then used the quirk as a boost and flew in Naruto's direction. Suddenly, he was in front of Naruto and was going to slam his fist into his face. When Naruto raised his right arm to his face to block, Katsuki's fist struck his arm, which was coated with core energy. A massive explosion sent Naruto flying backwards, colliding with the wall of a building. Katsuki simply slid backwards by a good 10 feet. The red-eyed hero in training pondered. So this fucker's quirk is some sort of weird blue energy that coats his entire body? As he approached Naruto slowly. As he proceeded to approach Naruto, Katsuki snarled, I told you not to get in my fucking way. As tiny explosions appeared on the palm of his hands. You think you can get in my way? You think you can fucking take me on? I'll show you, he hissed, getting ready to strike. Oh, you want to get disqualified, don't ya? Naruto abruptly said as he approached Katsuki, who slowed down upon hearing this. The blonde continued walking until they were a few feet apart. 'Cause it looks like you want to be disqualified. If you do, just give me one punch here, the blonde said, pointing to one of his cheeks. Katsuki snarled at him. Grr, don't fucking mock me, because I'll fucking do it. The blonde challenged him. Then do it. I will. I'm waiting. Trust me. I will. Go for it then. When 10 villains were about to stomp on Katsuki, Naruto and Katsuki were too preoccupied with each other's throats to notice them. Naruto leaped to his feet and yelled, Core energy wave! For the final time, as he swung his hand once more. The villain exploded, flying backwards. Gotta push forward, he growled as he straightened up after the blonde fell to his knees and felt lightheaded. Katsuki screamed at the blonde. "TCH, how dare you save me?" The blonde said. "Shut the fuck up, just consider my debt paid for you having to save me earlier. Now if you excuse me, I have an exam to ace." As he began using his last remaining core energy to assault villains. As Katsuki watched Naruto attack villain after villain, he thought simply, "Damn you, Dot." Time skip. After a few days, teachers were presented the exam results from a few days earlier while they discussed the results among themselves. One teacher remarked, "Damn, that kid, Katsuki Bakugo, is a tank. He got the most points and ranked number 1. When seeing video of Katsuki assaulting villains. Son of All Might ranked in close third. He was quite power himself, but it appears he lacked a bit of experience with his wind quirk, unlike that Katsuki who seems to have fully mastered his quirk. Well, up until 10 months ago rumors had it Naruto had no quirk. I even talked to his father All Might and his father confirmed he had no quirks, so this odd quirk of his must have activated around 10 months ago, so it's expected for him to still lack experience. Yeah, footage also shows that both Naruto and Katsuki almost got into a fight during the exam. That's only natural, but at least it didn't escalate." The teachers kept chatting among themselves until they arrived at the 7th ranked hero, Izumi Midoriya. "This kid is something else. He got 0 points during the exam, but he did wreck the villain worth 0 points, and he did save another hero in training, so of course he automatically passed. But still, the way he hurt his body," said an instructor. "It's like his body isn't used to his quirk," said another teacher, nodding. "He does have potential, however." True dat, true dat. Yeah, too true, brah, too true. "It appears that a lot more students passed than we expected," said a teacher as they resumed their conversation. "It's very surprising, but it's a problem as we can't accept this many students. I guess we're gonna have to do mini exams to disqualify more of them." Time jump, 2 days later. Naruto's father had personally informed him that although he had passed the UA entrance exam, he had placed 3rd. This upset the blonde, who had hoped to place 1st. The fact that Katsuki had placed 1st only made the blonde moan. However, it appears that many of the children passed the admission exam, so everyone had to take a mini-test to exclude additional pupils or whatever. For this reason, Naruto was waiting at the 3rd training ground, a big grassy training area inside UA High School that included a lake, small forests, and trees scattered throughout. All Might had informed him that this was where he would be taking a mini-test. Naruto was waiting by 3 wooden posts that protruded from the ground when he heard footsteps and looked over to see Katsuki approaching. Katsuki looked at Naruto and exclaimed, "What the fuck are you doing here, Uzumaki?" The blonde retorted, "Apparently, I have to take a mini-test here. What are you doing here? You stalking me?" "As if I want to stalk a loser like you, and for your information, the letter I got said to come here today for my mini-test as well," he complained. "Too many losers passed the entrance exam, so now my precious time is being wasted on some shitty test, TCH. Naruken Kachin." Katsuki and Naruto abruptly turned to see Izuku slowly approaching them. Although it was obvious why he was there, Katsuki became irate. Naruto inhaled deeply, and he turned away. As he approached the dark-haired youngster, Katsuki screamed angrily, "Deku, worthless fucking Deku, you passed the entrance exam? How fucking dare you? I told you to give up, TCH. This school is taking any loser these days, huh?" Kachin," Izuku muttered uneasily as he leaped back in fear. Unsure of what to say but not needing to, as All Might had just materialized in the training area. "All Might!" Izuku grinned broadly as Katsuki focused on All Might and all of his splendor. All Might grinned at the 3 and said, "You 3 are quite lively, aren't you?" "The All Might, what are you doing here?" Naruto asked, looking astonished. The only thing All Might said was, "Not that many people know this, but this year I have taken up a teaching position at U-A-High." Grinning. "So what's the meaning of this? I know why we're here, so give me the damn test so that I can go home," Katsuki said, merely skirting the issue. "Patience, my young Bakugo," All Might said. "First of all, I would like to congratulate all three of you for passing the entrance exam, but unfortunately for you, many passed the exam a lot more than expected, so the school has issued mini tests to all the students who passed, and well, you three will be taking the test with me." All Might waved his thumbs raises. "So what's the test?" replied Naruto to his father. All Might brought out 2 silver bells and said, "Naruto-san, the test is simple. You three have to take the silver bells from me," he said, still grinning. Izuku said, There are 2 bells and 3 of us, so you don't mean," while gazing at the bells. He appeared anxious and was perspiring. "So it's that simple? 2 of us will pass this test and 1 will fail, correct? So all I have to do is snatch a bell from you and I pass," Katsuki exclaimed with a joyful smile as he realized what was going on. "You are correct, young Bakugo, but I do not intend to be easy on any of you, and if none of you manage to take a bell, then all 3 of you will fail the test," All Might remarked, nodding. His expression was genuinely serious. Izuku began muttering to himself, "No, this can't be, there's no way we can pass." Naruto and Katsuki roared at Izuku, "Speak for yourself," before turning to face All Might and preparing to assault. As he looked at his father, Naruto thought, "It's time to show you that I can make it forward without you." He would take a bell no matter what. As he stretched a little, Katsuki thought, "This will be a piece of cake." All Might didn't complete because Naruto and Katsuki charged at him with all of their strength. "You three have 1 hour, the test starts dash." Izuku was forced to stay behind and shit out a brick. While Izuku stood back and took it all in, All Might watched as Katsuki and Naruto raced at him. More significantly, though, All Might was preoccupied with his son Naruto. All Might thought, "Show me what you got, son," as Katsuki and Naruto moved a few steps away from him. Katsuki screamed, "Die!" and attempted to slam his hand on All Might's face, but All Might grabbed his wrist first, then kicked him in the stomach. The red-eyed blonde coughed out saliva as he flew backwards and hit the ground with a loud thud. When All Might turned to Naruto, he was surprised to see that his son was covered in a blue material. His son smiled cockily and cocked back his right hand as he appeared in front of All Might. The blonde swung swiftly, and his fist struck All Might's chest. However, nothing occurred. "Impossible!" Naruto's eyes became wide, and All Might remained motionless. "Is that all?" All Might grinned mischievously at the blonde. As he hurriedly leaped 5 feet back, Naruto merely growled, "Grr," in case All Might did something. "You still haven't let me go. Die. 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 I'm going to get that fucking bell." Katsuki shouted again as he ran in All Might's direction. He kept screaming as he came to a stop 1 foot from All Might. Bakugo leaped back beside Naruto as he swiftly extended his palm, causing a huge explosion that encompassed All Might's whole body. "I have him!" The happy sneer on Katsuki's face vanished as the smoke that had covered All Might vanished, revealing an entirely unharmed All Might. "Oh no!" Katsuki snarled and was about to charge at All Might once more when All Might materialized in front of him and flicked Katsuki's forehead. That was all it took for Katsuki to fly past Deku before colliding with a tree. Naruto was about to attack his father once more when All Might swiftly grabbed the blonde's wrist and began spinning around before releasing Naruto, who flew off in Katsuki's direction. This was followed by an explosion and Katsuki screamed, "Get the fuck off me! I can't possibly win a fight against All Might, And there's no way I'll be able to get a bell, damn it, it's impossible, All Might said, turning to face Izuku, who was staring at him and trembling a little. Why would they give us this mini bell test if it's impossible, unless there's some sort of catch? He kept thinking as he gazed at All Might. All Might merely grinned and said, "Come at me, my boy," to Deku. Izuku inhaled deeply and nodded resolutely before charging toward All Might. As he approached All Might, he swung his right hand at him, pumping it full of force. What's on your mind? As he looked at Deku, All Might thought. Using 100% will cause you to break your entire arm like during the exam. However, as he looked at Deku, he realized that Izuku was actually sacrificing himself for Bakugo and Naruto. There's no way we can beat All Might, there's no way I can beat All Might, but I just might be able to hurt him enough for Kacchan and Naruken to have a chance at getting those 2 bells, Izuku thought as he gazed upon All Might. You are truly unique, Izuku. All Might grinned, feeling incredibly proud that he had chosen Izuku to be his successor. But before they could say or do anything more, they heard Nerd shout, "Core Energy Wave!" All Might turned to face Izuku and saw a wave of blue core energy approaching both Deku and All Might. Eek! Deku shouted as he turned around and ducked down, narrowly avoiding being struck but fortunately escaping. Just what is that blue stuff? He asked himself as All Might escaped the blow. As All Might looked at Naruto, who was now running towards him, he thought. Interesting, he just saved Izuku from breaking his arm. Was it on purpose, or did he truly wish to strike down Izuku along with? There was a dark glitter in the blonde's eyes that profoundly disturbed All Might. You fuck, I'll be the one to get a bell first, so out of my fucking way, yelled Katsuki as he dashed behind Naruto as he hurried towards All Might. We will see about that, Naruto said simply as they both charged at All Might once more. However, as they approached All Might, Naruto stopped running because Katsuki leaped forward and once more pointed the palm of his hand at All Might's face. All Might once again halted his attack before tossing him back. Then, with a loud thud, Katsuki flew past Naruto and fell to the ground like horse crap. Naruto leaped into the air and attempted to kick All Might, aiming the heel of his foot at All Might's face, but the legendary All Might once again stopped the kick with his forearm. I haven't even done any damage on him yet. Is this core energy quirk that worthless? Naruto quickly leaped off All Might's forearm and scowled in frustration before jumping far back and shouting, Core Energy Wave! He swiped his hand once more as a wave of core energy headed straight for All Might. All Might just grinned and shouted, Detroit Smash! As he struck the approaching wave or core energy. His fist struck the wave, causing an explosion that sent winds spinning wildly and violently everywhere, sending Katsuki, Naruto, and Izuku flying across the training ground and into the distance. All Might chuckled as the wind subsided and exclaimed, Ha! I must have overdone it, he said, surveying the now-defaced training ground before turning to face the forest, where the trio had flown, and simply waiting. They would undoubtedly charge back at him again. Our favorite blonde hero moaned as he got to his feet after crashing into a tree. However, as he got to his feet, one of his feet failed him, and he fell to the ground on his knees. The blonde moaned and attempted to stand up again, but he stumbled down again, noticing that his right arm and hand were shaking. The blonde thought, Damn it! And then said to himself, This fucking core energy quirk always putting strain on my body, my bones and muscles are aching so bad. He sighed as he ignored the pain and proceeded to walk slowly through the forest. However, he stopped when he heard Katsuki yell behind him. Naruto! The red-eyed boy yelled as Naruto turned to him. Bakugo, what do you want? Blonde questioned the other blonde. Fight me right now, fucker, Bakugo urged, smiling excitedly and ignoring the slur. He was thrilled to see the blonde employ his strange quirk and intended to destroy her right now. Did you crash on a tree head first? Naruto said, blinking. The blonde stated plainly. Because hello, we are in the middle of a test, so no, I'm not going to fight you. He needed to conserve his strength and energy for All Might. You trash, are you looking down on me? Bakugo merely snarled. Oh, I see. You're amazed, correct? You were so astonished by my strength and quirk that it made you feel self-conscious, huh? And you want to kick my ass and fight me now just to feel better about yourself? The blonde smirked condescendingly and said. Bakugo snarled once more and screamed. I'll fucking kill you and bury you here because you're really looking down on me. As he charged at the blonde, he kept shouting. As he charged at Katsuki, Naruto remarked. If you truly want your ass kicked, I'll go ahead and kick it, but don't blame me when that fragile ego of yours ends up bruised. You are the only one who will get damaged. You believe that you can defeat me or despise me because you newly acquired your fucking quirk? Katsuki continued to charge at the blonde, the palms of his hands beginning to light as he prepared to attack, saying, I've used my quirk since I was a little boy, and there's no way you can beat me in my quirk experience, maggot. Bakugo shouted. All Might that you! And Naruto and Katsuki were about to assault each other as they approached each other when they heard a shrub moving. They immediately stopped and leaped back. He was preparing an assault. And no, Izuku responded swiftly when he emerged from the bushes and saw Bakugo and Naruto staring at him. The dark-haired lad got up and dusted himself while grinning at Naruto and Katsuki. I've been looking for both of you, he replied. Naruto merely muttered, I don't care, and began to go. Bakugo growled, Deku, you lame ass, you just interrupted my fight with Naruto and now he's leaving. I'll just kick your ass right now as payback. As Izuku leaped back hurriedly. There is a catch to this bell test. I'm here to tell you both, the dark-haired boy quickly said, making Naruto stop walking while Katsuki merely said, Huh! Please listen, Kaken, Naruken, Izuku begged, and then responded. I've been thinking there's no way the three of us can defeat All Might. He's too powerful. Even if we were to team up against him, we still wouldn't be able to get those bells. Bakugo gave Deku a chilly gaze and yelled, Fuck you, don't lump me in with your weak ass, I'll get one of those bells. No matter how you look at it, the odds are against us, so there must be a catch. I think I know what it is. I think the point of this test is for the three of us to team up together, Izuku remarked gravely, despite the chills running down his spine. He, Izuku and Bakugo turned to Naruto, who chuckled and said, This is fantastic. I must join Explodo over here. Teamwork requires trust, and how am I supposed to trust someone who has anger management issues, and how am I supposed to trust backstabbing snakes? He said, turning to point at Bakugo. The blonde said, Yeah, I'll pass, and then turned to leave. I don't want to work as a team with you. Those bells are easy for me to obtain on my own. Before going to Deku, Bakugo yelled at Naruto. Fat chance I'll team up with either of you. And then he turned to leave. All Izuku could say was, We're doomed. He sighed and could only mumble. Time is almost up, All Might stated, checking his watch before turning to face the training ground's little forest. Katsuki then sprang out of the forest and flew toward All Might's direction, utilizing his quirk as a kind of boost. Everything is MIGHT, Bakugo shouted as he materialized in front of All Might. He attempted to slam All Might's stomach with the palm of his hand, but All Might swiftly leaped back. With a roar, Katsuki sprinted in All Might's direction once more. However, this time, he utilized his quirk to leap over All Might and shout, Die! As he blasted All Might with an explosion. Katsuki was about to jump back when All Might's hand emerged from the black smoke and grabbed him by the face. Before Katsuki could react, All Might emerged from the smoke created by Bakugo's explosion, appearing completely unfazed. The blast had successfully struck All Might, and Katsuki had safely landed on the ground in front of the explosion. My boy, is that all you have? Before crushing Katsuki into the ground, All Might said the words, Bakugo moaned as his back struck the floor, realizing that he would wake up in pain. All Might was about to respond when he heard a noise behind him. All Might turned to see Naruto running toward him, preparing to punch him, but before he could do so, Naruto stopped what he was doing because All Might's watch began beeping. All Might then remarked, "The bell test is over, you fail," with a dejected expression. After a few minutes, the three of them stood in front of All Might, who was still staring at them with disappointment. All Might said, "The idea behind this exam was to get all three of you to work together. That was the point of the exam all along." After which there was silence. Bakugo and Naruto turned to face Izuku, who gave them a "I told you so" smile. Katsuki snarled a little, while Naruto just glanced back at All Might. "You know what it means! We are heroes. What if I was a villain and the silver bells were a damsel in distress?" All Might asked the three of them. "It means that you must be willing to put others before yourself, that you must be able to put aside your differences, negative feelings, and even your ego to work together for the greater good." He stated plainly, "I am disappointed in the three of you. You don't have what it takes to be a hero, or even surpass me. You would have failed to save her from my clutches, and one or all of you would have died." All Might went on, "The three of you have potential, so I can give you another chance at this if you want, but if you answer this question honestly, will all three of you agree to work together?" Bakugo and Naruto just scowled but remained silent. With a serious tone in his voice, All Might inquired, "I'd rather not work with this nerd," Bakugo stated after a brief pause. He turned to face Deku and muttered, "But if I have to team up with him this once just to become a hero, then I'll fucking do it," while he stared at the ground and threatened to cry. Izuku firmly stated, "I am willing to work with both of them," turning to Naruto, who appeared to be thinking deeply before letting out a sigh. He gave in without turning to face Izuku, saying, "I'll do it. I have to become a hero no matter what." After examining them for a short while, All Might nodded and said, "Then you pass. Congratulations all three, or you are now heroes," grinning and gave them the thumbs up. "What?" Naruto looked at All Might in confusion. "We pass? How?" Izuku appeared just as stunned as Naruto.